Today, I'm joined by a friend of mine, an incredible photographer, a man behind the scenes in the photography industry, has his own business, Gabe Garza. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Gabe, we recently had an encounter, something that happens ever so often in the music industry, getting double booked. And that's how we recently connected. We both got booked to shoot Dwight Schrute, a.k.a. Rainn Wilson, at the Palace Theater. But I'm glad it happened because, we wouldn't be here right now if that didn't happen.
Yep.
But, how would you describe yourself to someone who's never heard of you?
Well, I've been a photographer for almost 8 years now, and I do anything with cameras. I do video work. I don't like to video edit. That's the one thing I try to not touch. But I just love business. I love photography. I love empowering other people that do creative stuff. So I like photography. I do good photos. That's a big part of what I do.
Great photos.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't undersell it, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, I just, in general, I used to want to be a real estate agent before I got into this, so I kind of have a business background and worked with agencies, and I just really try to understand the business side of photography and how to build a business out of it. That's what kind of fuels me in this, when the business works. You know?
So how did you get started?
So when I was in high school, actually, I was having my meeting my junior year of high school where they're like, oh, you're gonna go to this college and this college. And I was not a great school student. And so they told me that I couldn't go to UConn with the grades that I had. So that basically changed my whole trajectory at that point because that's what I was planning to do. Someone set me up with an internship at a real estate agency at that meeting actually because I had told them that I like nice houses. That's something I enjoy, driving around looking at pretty houses. So they set me up with an internship, and at that point, I was 17, and my plan was to be a real estate agent. So I interned at a few agencies. I actually interned at one and helped teach them how to use social media. It was a lot of older ladies that worked there, and they didn't know how to use Instagram yet at all.
That's honestly an impressive task.
It wasn't easy, but it's it was 2017 when Instagram was really starting to become a business tool. But yeah, so I did that for a year and a half-ish, working with real estate agencies, doing drone work, and I started a real estate photography business instead of choosing to go into becoming an agent. And yeah, so for about 3 years, I ran a real estate photography company. We did photos I started with a drone actually before I ever picked up a camera.
That's a good tool to use too, because a lot of people even if I know I have a drone, but even me, I'm just there's kind of a intimidation factor with flying a drone. You know what I mean?
It's
way
scary.
More risk.
It's I remember when I first got into it, I was afraid all the time. And there's there's the settings where if it gets too close to something, it'll stop it, right? But I was always afraid it was just gonna drop out of the sky or hit something really bad. It's a scary thing.
Yeah, I want to keep everything focused on you, but I'll share a quick story because maybe you have something like this.
Yeah.
I almost died once from a drone incident.
No way,
bro. So I've never told anybody this, but when I was in Iceland, I crashed a drone.
Wow.
And,
in Iceland.
Yeah, I was flying it to get the shot. There's this rock formation in the water that's kind of it's cool looking, right? So I flew it down towards it, and I'm up on a cliff. And I crashed the drone at the bottom of the beach.
Okay.
So I went to go grab it, and I stepped out because there is a path, but the path was straight vertical. Dude.
Yeah. Oh,
I step out, bro. I slide down that entire cliff, dude. It was probably the closest I've come to dying. I was beat up, my arms were bleeding. I was everything.
In Iceland too, that's crazy.
In Iceland, yeah. I'm pretty sure I remember my girlfriend Sarah was there. She said she remembers seeing a person pray for me as I was going down.
Yeah.
But I say that have you ever had a drone incident or anything that stomach churning?
Yeah, I mean, nothing that crazy, honestly, especially not in a place like Iceland. That's a pretty cool story, honestly. I'm glad you're okay.
Me too, dude. There would be no podcast right now.
But I've definitely crashed drones into trees and stuff like that. And it's crazy when you're flying a drone. It's you're playing a game with a little, you see what you see on the drone on the remote. And I'm just flying, and then you just hit something, and it's it starts falling.
You're flying backwards. I think it always happens flying backwards.
For me, I can't even remember if it was forward or backwards, but like I would always be pushing my limits a little too much when I would do it, and I'd like clip a tree, and it just like looks crazy on the screen because
it just like spins.
It just out of nowhere you see it spinning and then hits the ground, and that was always scary because the first drone I actually ever really like, my mom got me one for Christmas. That's how I got into it. Shout out to my mom. She got me a Phantom 3.
Oh, let's go. That's a good drone too.
Yeah, that was like the Christmas gift that changed it all for me. But like when I interned at one of the agencies, it wasn't my drone; it was their drone that I was using. So like, I remember crashing that, and it was like my heart just sank because I'm like, oh no, I just crashed this drone and it's not my drone. Like, and they were kind of expensive back then. This is like, they were newer at that time, so like they were like at least $1,000 to get a good drone.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover DistroKid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, DistroKid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust DistroKid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used DistroKid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the DistroKid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with two-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your DistroKid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications, effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. Bro, you just remind me of another story that I want to keep it pushing with your story, but I had a time where I was shooting a music video for Chris Webby, and we were on a pirate ship, and we hired a drone operator, and he flew the drone into the side of the boat, and it sunk into the bottom of the ocean, dude. Oh, no. We were able to get the footage, though, because I guess however he was doing it, it was like saving to his phone. His phone, exactly. The quality wasn't like AA1 because it like, you know, but with that being said, yeah, drones are scary, dude. So I commend you for it. I have one story that I just remembered because of that. Like, this was probably the scariest experience I had with the drone. We were filming a music video in Miami on a yacht that we rented for the day. And it was kind of crazy because I'm just doing like clips of the boat, and then they're doing a little performance scene on the front. And you know when you launch the drone, like that's your anchor point. And then if a drone dies, it goes back to that spot. It goes back to that spot. But we were on a yacht and it was moving while we were shooting. Oh, and I was pushing my limits with the battery life. And so this was actually home. this was like actually really scary and crazy too, because like the captain of the boat like got involved and was the one who ended up catching it. But it was about to die, and it started sending it back to that location, which was like a mile back from where we flew. And if anybody doesn't know drones, this shit is beeping the entire way. It's like boop, boop. It like adds so much stress to the situation. Like I was filming like, oh, this is a fire clip, and then I heard the beep, and I'm like, oh no, this is because I knew it was about to start heading back to where I launched from. And so like the drone software is sending it back to where, and I'm fighting it with the controls to send it, and so it's not going fully back. That you could do that. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. I'm sure a lot of camera people on here know exactly what you're talking about right now. Yeah. And the captain came out and like helped me, and he like grabbed the drone out of the air, and it's like when you go to catch it, you can shut off the propellers the right way, but like we couldn't do that because it was in the process of going back to where it was supposed to go, and like we just had to like manually like shut it down like with the bat. It was a scary experience. Like I was scared I was gonna lose a finger trying to do that. Yeah, drones. I mean, the takeaway from this little segment right here is drones are scary. Yeah. Let's continue on your story. So you're getting into drone photography. Yep. And, so how does that evolve? I did that for 3 years, and I did it pretty successfully. I had a business partner that helped me the last year with that business, and this part, I'm not fully sure if we'll keep this in on like the social clip part of it, but I was doing
acid one day and with one of my friends, and I'm 3 years into having this business, and I'm like about to take a real estate agent's course to become an agent. And I was watching a Travis Scott music video, Goosebumps specifically. That's one of my favorite songs ever. And I'm tripping pretty hard on acid. And I'm looking at this video, I'm like, dude, I don't want to go into real estate. I don't want to go into, like, because I was going into real estate more so because I wanted to make money. Like, that was like my main.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in real estate photography. There's a couple, like, there's, you know, I think with photography and videography, like, there's two paths, you know what I mean? There's like the fun path that I view as like concerts, music videos and stuff that sometimes doesn't pay as well, but it's fun. And then there's, and you can correct me how you feel about it, but then there's the other side where it's like real estate, weddings.
Yeah.
You know,
So something you can scale and do, and you don't have to be super creative or have a certain like style, you know? But that's where I kind of like, at that point, I just had a realization watching the Goosebumps video, and I was like, I would rather like go into something that I'm actually passionate towards. And it was just a big realization moment for me to be like, all right, I'm getting into real estate because I want to make money, which is like, I think I'm going to find myself unhappy at some point down the line choosing to do it for this reason. So like that realization like sparked me, and it was like, I love hip hop music. I love music in general. I'm huge, since I was a young kid, I've always loved like hip hop and rap music. And so I had that moment to be like, I'm gonna start like working with artists. Like I've learned photography enough to like be able to go take pictures of an artist. And that next day I hit up like artists in New London because I lived in Mystic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the truth of the matter too, because I've made a play in that like in my life as well. But the truth is, the real estate photography doesn't go away. You know what I mean? Like it'll always, like if you need to dip back into that, it's always there. Like, you know, so, you know, like everyone's like sometimes afraid of making that leap, but it's like, you know your skill sets. Like if things went bad, you know exactly where you could go.
Yeah, I think while you're young too is a good time to kind of dive into what you're passionate about, because you know if you have a time at all in life to be able to like do something and it not pay off the way it's supposed to, it's when you're young and can take advantage of like the lesser amount of responsibilities you have at that point.
I agree, dude. And you know, it's funny that you say that too, because I've been taking a couple leaps of my own recently, and now that I'm old and I have way more responsibilities right now, and it's like, it is harder, you know what I mean? It's way harder right now for me than it was when I started, because, you know, just where life is, I got a lot to cover financially, and you know, so it kind of leaves a little less time for experimenting. You know what I mean? But like,
you got to be very like on point about how you use your time and less wasteful. Like when you're like 18, 19, 20, you know, you can, because we live in Connecticut, right? You can go to New York really easily. You can go to Boston really easily here. And like, I was just driving, like when I first got into the artist stuff, everywhere I could, like doing free work when I had to like just go do it and get experience.
Your name out there, dude. That's like another thing that people, because that's how I started to, dude. I did so much free work, dude.
Yeah.
And you know, like I always am a true believer that like you do that free work to get your name out there, and then eventually you get those gigs that pay you back for all the years that you put in for free.
Yep. It's an interesting topic about free work too, because it's like I would want to recommend people to not do free work, but I do think it's necessary depending on where you're at in your career, and I think if you're like getting into music, photography, or concerts and stuff like that, you're gonna have to do stuff for free at this point. There's a lot of people that do it and are willing to do it for free, and if you don't have a portfolio that's gonna like want someone or make someone choose you over someone else, like you got to build that portfolio and however you can, you know.
Yeah, I'm also very pro, dude. I still do free work. Yeah, a lot of people like, you wouldn't think that, but you know, when the opportunity makes sense, like sometimes you just gotta do it, because sometimes you want to make something happen for you, and if they're not all in the way that you are, you'll just be like, you know what, I'll do it for free. I can tell a quick story. Let me check here. I'll tell a quick story, but I realized, oh no, that's just 2 hours and 4 minutes. I'll cut that out. I thought I'd said 4 minutes, so I was like, yo, I didn't clear the card like an idiot, dude. But I'll tell a quick story too, and then I want to get back to, I'm telling too many stories on your episode.
It's okay. No, that's good. I want to hear them.
No, I did a video for free. So last year, this time last year, Webby had a song with Tech Nine, and he wasn't going to do a music video for it. And I was like pushing. I was like, dude, this is your like last Wednesday album. It's your like big hurrah. Like, we need to do a music video for this. He's like, he's like, I don't really have the budget. Like, I don't want to do it. I was like, do you think Tech would do it? Like, and film his part, and like we could film ours? He's like, I think he would. I was like, dude, then you know what? Like, I'll just do it, bro. You know what I mean? Because I want to do the music video with you and Tech Nine. I think it'd be sick. But yeah, sometimes you just do things for free. Like, you know what I mean? It's like just because you want to see it happen. And like, you know, what do you get out? What did I get out of it? I got a really dope music video I shot in my portfolio with Chris Webby and Tech Nine. You know, so
I think like one thing about it nowadays too is like, not just nowadays, but in general, is like in the process of being like a creative and learning new things. Sometimes like when you are not like, obviously when you first do photo or video, like you have to learn how to do the basic stuff and get somewhat good at it. But even when you get farther in your career and you need to level up in certain places or get better at certain things, but you haven't done it yet, like that's another good point in your career to like do something for free and not be like clouded around the fact that you're getting paid for something. Like just let that creativity fully come out in a way where you're not like having the boundaries of like, it's a paid thing that you got to give in this way. If you have the full control yourself, and you're not getting paid for it, you kind of have the freest mind to do it the way you want to. And sometimes like when you're working with other people, like the free work or like the more collaborative work gives you more control to do it the way that you might want to see how you want to do it in the first place, you know, because getting paid also kind of limits you to what they need or want at the end of the day, whoever you're working with.
And also another thing that people underestimate about free work is that, you know, it opens up opportunities for you in the future. You know what I mean? There are plenty of times where I did like someone's first video for free, and then, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, that was great work. Like, what would it be? What would it cost to like get, you know, I mean, get something done now?" You know what I mean? So there's plenty of times. It's like it's kind of like you reel them in with like a free sample.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
It's like it's your Costco plate.
Businesses do it already. It's just this is a interesting topic within our business because it's not like
people meme the hell out of free work, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like almost like looked down upon. But, you know, I want people to get a little bit more familiar with your work because you've shot with so many incredible people at this point. Could you just rattle off a ton of names of just artists that you've shot for, just so people understand the magnitude of Gabe himself?
Yep. Well, thank you, man. Honestly, so like I traveled with Bia for 2 years as her personal photographer, and like before that, I was like shooting a lot of concerts in Connecticut and working with all the artists in Connecticut. So, like working with her for 2 years really kind of put me on to like traveling and doing a lot of work outside of CT, and that was cool because we did a lot of festivals and traveled around a lot. I met a lot of people from that. And then after that, like there's like so many different concerts I've done. Some of my favorite artists that I've ever worked with is like Lil Wayne and his team. He's my favorite artist ever. Like since I was a young kid, I got in trouble for listening to Wayne on my MP3 player when I was like 8 years old. So like 3 different times I got to work with him and he posted my stuff. That was like super cool to me. And then Drake, I did Drake's tour. That was like a really big accomplishment for me because when I first started like doing photography for artists, like I had these limiting thoughts at that point. Like when I was thinking about the trajectory and like the growth of what I could do in it, like specifically in my head at one point, I'm like, working with Drake's just kind of off the table. Like he was so famous that like that would be cool to think of, but probably not ever likely or like realistic. And then it happened. Like I got to like work directly for him and his team. And that was a big thing because that was his It's All a Blur tour in LA, the Kia Forum shows. And that's like some of the biggest like work I've done.
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit more too, because you know it's funny that you say that because like a lot of people will think like someone like a Drake is out of reach, but the truth is all these guys need photographers and content too. You know, so it's not as crazy as you might think. Tell me a story about working with Drake though. You know, what was that experience like? Walk me through it.
It was really cool because on that tour they actually like hired out on a lot of the dates, like hired out photographers, and he actually hired like 5 photographers and spent a lot of money on photography every night. And so I got to work with some of the coolest photographers ever too, like Henry Wu.
Henry, he's crazy, dude.
Like I remember like on the last night that I did with them, he like came in and I was like, yo, like I've been a fan of you since I actually started this. It was a cool experience. And then other cool story, Sean Llewellyn, photographer from Connecticut, like one of my biggest inspos from the start of photography. Like he came up to me when I was shooting at that show and like tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and I'm like, we had this moment, I'm like, yo, you're here. And it was just so cool because he's actually like one of my biggest inspos. But it was really cool because that was I had to fly out with my own money to go do that. Like I got paid for the shows that I did, but they didn't pay for travel.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like that too, because like, you know, you were in LA, right? Because in their mind it's like, yo, we'll just get somebody from LA. You know what I mean? It's like, but then in your mind it's like, yo, I'm not gonna miss this opportunity.
And it's interesting because they were doing that where they were going to get people in LA, and I didn't like directly like let them know that like I'm flying from CT to do this in LA, because
It might have actually harmed the opportunity.
it would have because in general, like the way that I got the opportunity, like someone on his team I had worked with, and he was like, yo, like we're hiring out these people for this date, and he tried to get me in for like the New York dates, but I wasn't available at that time, so that like I would have done the New York, it didn't work out, it came up for LA. And yeah, so it was like really cool. That was like the biggest shows that I've ever done, and like all of the biggest celebrities. He brought he brought Bad Bunny out at one of the shows. Kim Kardashian, Drewski. He was bringing out Lil Yachty was there almost every day that we did. And like one cool thing about it is that like when we did these shows for him, we had to edit photos and deliver like on site before we left. And like at one of the shows, like Drewski and Ben the Don are like in the room that we're editing in. It's like 5 of us at a circle table all editing for Drake. And Ben the Don and Drewski are like at a table on the other side of the room. Like they're like joking about us. They're like making jokes about the fact that like, yeah, we need editors getting to work like this. Like, and I'm just like, like this is a crazy like experience to have, because it's like Drewski's like one of the funniest people ever too.
So funny, dude. I actually watched one of his Could Have Been record the other day. It's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, I just watched did you watch the one with Timmy? The one.
I don't know. I didn't see the most recent, but I seen the one where I honestly was watching the Boston one because I thought one of my homies went there, and I thought he was in the video. You know what I mean? So I was like hoping to see him in it, but I don't think he made the cut. But bro, no, I'm like really fascinated by like, let's not talk about I'm very interested to hear like Drake editing story right now. It's crazy, dude. So like, then you deliver the photos, and like, is that like, how does that, you know what I mean? Like you just deliver the photos, and that was kind of that experience. Like, yeah, like
we had about an hour to be there and edit the photos and deliver. And it was like a lot of concert and like, music industry work is like fast paced, but like,
it has to be.
I think this was like the fastest paced thing that I ever experienced, in the extent of like, and it was also the most competitive thing I've ever done too, because I was with 5 other like killer photographers. Like they were
and
awesome.
You want your photo to be the photo.
And he ended up like posting a few of mine, which was like, I remember going on my phone and like I was like peeping his page like the whole day, like
refresh.
Like is it coming
New
up?
Post.
And then I saw it and I'm like, whoa, like this is crazy, because it's like, I don't know, like in rap and hip hop, like Drake feels like the pinnacle, like especially at this time.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like, and the thing about the quick turnarounds, it's so important, not only for your client, but for you too, just so you don't get backed up. But and I want to pivot and talk about you on tour with Bia, because I'm sure you can relate to this too. But like, for my time on tour as a cameraman, I'm like, dude, I'm delivering like 100 photos every day, and I'll do like 100 like batch edits where it's like I'll kind of like put an overall like preset that I've made on it, and then I'll go in and fine tune them. But then I'll pick my like couple of images to like really like
mess with.
So this way like it's kind of efficient on time. And then another thing that I make sure I do is make sure that I take photos of the entire team. I think that's like an important thing that like some people like they just don't do, because like they're not thinking about it. They're like, oh, I'm here to shoot Drake, but it's like, yo, if you shoot Drake's tour manager, he's the guy who might be able to get you back for another one. So
I'm actually really glad that you like mentioned that specifically, because doing that myself has what has gotten me in some of the biggest doors that I've gotten into, because like even just with like other camera people, like when I love if I'm on a set, like, cause I've done BTS of a lot of music videos over time.
Name some of them, dude.
Like a bunch of Bia ones, but like a lot of CT ones, like Jay Critch and Neek Bucks was one I did. That was a big one with like Declan a while ago. But like, regardless if it's like a big music video or a small music video, like I try to get pictures of the camera people that are working on set. And that's one thing that like, obviously you might be there to shoot the talent, give the talent their photo and video, whatever. But the people who don't get photos a lot of the time get really appreciative when you give them photos, and they deserve photos, like, and those are the people that get forgotten about the most. And like the team of the artists in general, like I'm glad that you said that, because that is what I've done, and it's actually helped me get more jobs in a lot of places.
It's huge, dude. So I had the opportunity to shoot Wiz Khalifa at Red Rocks, and
dope venue, really dope venue,
insane, dude. But the thing that like took away, like, I obviously don't, like, I'm not out here talking with Wiz, but now I have a relationship with a lot of his team, because I was like, I was like I ended up being like their personal photographer. Wiz is performing on stage, and like his tour manager's like, "Yo, come take these photos." You know what I mean? So it's really important to do, and I think it's something that people overlook. But let's run into the Bia tour. So she's an artist out of Boston, right?
Yep.
How did you end up connecting with her to the point where you're going on tour and doing all these festivals?
Yeah, so like I started working with her when she released the Whole Lot of Money music video. Like the first time I ever worked with her, I went to LA and I did BTS of that music video, and she really liked those photos. So like she was on Don Toliver's tour, his Life of a Don tour. And so we did a tour that was 45 days, 30 different shows around the country.
A grind, dude.
It was, and you'll understand this too, but like you very, very little sleep the whole time. And the fast turnaround time is ridiculously important on tour.
Because she's also a label artist, right?
Yeah, she signed to Epic.
I'm sure her label's hitting you up like, yo, where's the photos?
And it was interesting because like I think working with her like as a woman artist, like working with like a guy artist and a woman artist, it's like two different things. Like she was putting on really cool outfits every time she stepped out, and like the importance of me getting my photos was about the fact that like she might have like a $20,000 outfit on that like she's working with designers with, that like it's important to capture this outfit because it's not going to be worn again by her in any way.
That's true. Most of the artists I tour with are throwing on their hoodie, dude, and calling it a day.
Yeah. And it's like, at that point, that's what I learned from that experience working with her. Like as a woman artist, there's different like importances of like how you're capturing and what you're capturing for. But yeah, tour life was a lot. Like it was a very, very interesting experience because a little bit of personal like situation here too. Like when I did that tour, like I had 3 goals when I got into artist photography. It was to work with a like celebrity artist in some way personally, go on a tour, and then do a Rolling Loud. And like in the first 6 or 7 months of that, I kind of achieved all of those with her specifically, which is really cool. And so that tour was like probably one of the biggest goals I had. And I had a girlfriend of like 5 years at that point, and we broke up like on that tour. It was very
tough. Tour can be really straining on a relationship.
Yeah, in general, like I think entertainment work, like if you're traveling in any form, like it's hard you have to learn how to have a really healthy relationship and do that at the same time, because it's not like set up for you to have.
Yeah, like, I'm thankful that like me and my girl were, because she never knew a non-touring me. You know what I mean? Like when I started like hanging out with her, I like literally left for a tour. So she's never known anything like, and I'm touring a lot less than I am now, but it's become harder to go out on tour over the year, I'll say that. But the point that I'm going to get to is I remember leaving for a tour, hanging out with all my friends, and then I came back from the tour, and I'd been touring so long, and I came back and like all my friends were just like at different places in their life. You know what I mean? So like I felt like I came back and I was like, oh, everyone's gone now.
It's I will say, because it's like when you look at like tour life and just like when your jobs are heavily in the entertainment industry, it's very different from a lot of people. Like you grow up with your friends, and some of your friends get into different jobs that are very different from this, and it's like, as you get older, you see how it kind of like changes your life compared to people like in those other fields. That's something that I think it's interesting, because it's like I would be curious to know if you've ever had like those moments that are like, man, like I should just stop doing this, or like there's enough. In my experience, I've had a lot of things that have been discouraging in this like field, and it's a hard thing to stick and do for a while. Like it's gonna feel like it doesn't work out at times, or at some points you're gonna like want the comfort of a 9-to-5 job, and in that way, like, have you ever had experiences like that? And like
I like that you turned it on me, dude, because I have had that experience. I'll tell it, dude. And I think people like know a little bit about it. But so when I first started touring, talking about doing free work, I was touring with an artist, Whit Lowry.
Okay, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, so Whit, I have a lot of good memories with Whit, so I don't want to like tell this story and make it seem like it was like all bad.
Yeah.
But so I was touring for free, and I was getting a per diem, and like for those that don't know, it's like a little bit of money every day so you can get food. So I think I'm taking away like $200 a week. So that's like what I'm getting on this tour.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to do the tour, and like him and I were growing together. But dude, that tour, like we were walking on eggshells, dude, and I don't want to like talk bad on anybody, but I guess I won't get into like crazy specifics.
Yeah.
But just know that I left that tour never wanting to tour again. I was like, yo, if this is what touring's like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you know, prior to touring, doing that tour with Whit, that was like a headlining tour. We did a tour where he opened up for Watsky.
Okay.
Now, I had a falling out of sorts with Whit because, you know, it was a bad energy on the tour. And so then, you know, and this is a lesson I learned painfully is like, don't put your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of eggs in the Whit basket. So that when that fell apart, I was like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Luckily, like 2 months after that happened, Watsky throws me a life raft. And he's like, yeah, because he saw how I was working on tour for Whit.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I also like, you know, that was like a good thing. Like, you know, when I don't think this is the case for every tour, but if you're on tour as an opener, like being able to make a relationship with the headliner too, there's kind of an art to it because you obviously want to focus on like the artist that you're there for.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was able to make, you know, and now George, like Watsky is like I'd consider him one of my like great friends. You know what I mean? He's somebody I can look on. But, you know, he sends me, basically this goes back to it's like he gave me an offer that made up for all the free work I've done before.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, when I started touring with him, you know, I was like mad tense because I was just coming from an area of like, you know, you say the wrong thing and like people are upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyways, I get on tour with Watsky and I'm like, yo, this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to answer your question, yes, I've had that experience and like I was probably this close to never touring again.
Really?
Yeah. It's tough, dude. What about you?
So, similar experience, like even on the BIA tour, like where like you're kind of afraid on what to say, not because of like the people there per se, but it's like it's an interesting experience being on tour. Like you're around people that you don't know super like they're not your family or like really close friends for the most part, depending on what tour you're on. But I had a similar experience with that, like how you said that was, and it that turned me off to a lot of it at the same time. But in this like journey of photography and like creative work, there's been so many points where I'm like, dude, I should just hang it up and go choose a secure job that's not like this, you know, freelance work. But one thing that's always been really important for me to try to like spread to other people, especially people that start in this, you know, newer into it. 'Cause almost every time that I've had like a situation like that, and I use like, there's a lot of discouraging things that happen within this, you know, field of work that have made me want to quit. It's happened many times, but almost every time it happens, like there's a life raft, like you said, that comes up shortly after it that like gives me a good reason on why I'm doing this in the first place, and like kind of like just checked me mentally at that point.
Is there a situation that you'd be willing to share?
Well, before the Drake tour, before I got that Drake, I was seriously considering just going into another line of work, you know? And it was actually like getting reached out to do that. And another thing too that you just said that you experienced, like don't have all your eggs in one basket. When I stopped working with BIA, I kind of set myself up with all my eggs in that basket at that point. And it was like the way it ended, and like it happened more abruptly than it did like knowing that it was gonna happen. So like that, like, I think depending on who you're working with, and especially on tour, the amount of time you spend with people, it can really sour your mood the way you just said it happens. Like that soured my mood the same way that it did for you. And like I was in maybe like 2 to 3 months of just being like, it's not for me. Like my experiences, like I've done some cool stuff, but like not my life that I want to go into at this point.
Yeah, it's funny. I like think of everything you're saying, because the thing that people may underestimate about tour, because like, you know, you see from the outside it's fun, but like the other side of it is like you are like living with these people, and you're not like just living. You are living on top of these people. You guys are
the bunks that are.
Yeah, you guys are like literally sleeping on top of each other. Like if you're in a tour bus situation, if you're in a more grind tour, which we were at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're waking up early and you're getting in the van and you're just like sleeping however you can, you know? So
you're seeing these people like when you're like waking up and you're not around anyone, you're seeing these people as soon as you wake up.
Yeah, touring is a crazy experience, but like, yeah, the Whit situation was rough, dude, because the way that situation ended, I don't know if I've ever said this. I've talked about it like before, but I don't know if I ever said it in the podcast. But bro, the energy, like I'll paint the last day, like, and this is, you know, maybe people, and keep in mind, I'm getting paid per diem, so it's like I'm
Yeah,
there
yeah.
like on my basically my own will at this point. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm not there for the money. I'm getting $200 a week. Bro, Whit's ripping the blanket off of me, like from sleeping in bed. He's screaming at me.
Oh man.
Oh, it was bad, dude. And like, I'm not trying to put him on blast, but then you know, the vibe was bad, and nobody's talking to each other at the end of the tour. We all fly home, and he calls me, and he's like, yo, you didn't thank me. And I swear to God. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you didn't thank me. I was like, for what? He's like, for bringing you on tour. And I was like, bro, you just like...
That's what's crazy too, because I don't want to get too deep into this part of it, but when you talk about free work, right? There's the right way to do that, and then there's a way to get taken advantage of, you know. And it's like when people feel like when you're putting in your time and effort into something, and it's work, like this is our job, you know, like we're putting in what we do for work, time wise, into things, and like. That's why I say like you can do it the right smart way and like get the correct benefit out of it if it's not money. But then there's also a lot of artists out there that like want to use their clout and like what they can give you through exposure as the reason to do free work. And like that's just like, what do you mean like you didn't thank me? Like I put in a lot of time and effort and work into it. Like
yeah, I want to end that thought though too, just real fast, because you know after that, like, so then you know it was like, you know, when can I expect the photos? And I was like, dude, I'll get them to you today, you know?
Yeah.
I get off the phone with him, then his manager's calling me, like, he's like, yo, you need to get those photos now. And I'm like, dude, I was like, you know, it just didn't seem like a very friendly relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, we came up as friends, you know what I mean? At least in my eyes. And I will say years later, like, and we didn't end up talking for a hot second after that, but then years later, he ended up reaching out. He didn't really apologize, but we spoke, you know, so we're good now. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just funny too, and it's like I tell that story though, just so like if there's somebody else there like experiencing something similar, you know, that they can just know that there's a life raft on the other side of it, and and I also like with the Whit situation, I hope he's doing well. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of those, and this is a mentality I've appreciative to have because it's helped me in a lot of places in life, but like when a situation goes bad, like a tour is hard because it's, you know, it's a month of your life that it might be like this for, but like any situation that doesn't go the way that you had liked it to go, you still are able to learn from it and able to change how you do things in the future to maybe not allow that to happen the same way or just do better, you know? And like, so any experience that like similar to that, like I do appreciate going through it because it taught me how to do things differently, you know, to maybe just not have that happen again the same way, or like, or at least choose to like detach yourself away from this. Like you can work in a situation, but like it's really easy to become really good friends with people, and then the work part of it kind of like creates a gray line of like the whole atmosphere of how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and you know, on the other side, like on the artist side, you know, I've definitely seen artists or like photographers that have gotten too comfortable with artists to the point where like the work that they're delivering isn't, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, like, you know, the artist is looking out for you, but it's like, you're not delivering nearly as many photos, you know, you're not doing the, like, you know what I mean? It's like a two-way street, you know? And it's like, that's just the way you got to look at it. You know what I mean? It's like, you still got to hold down your own, because, you know, sometimes people just get too comfortable.
Yeah. I've seen that. And it's interesting actually, because I think I've experienced falling into that a little bit myself before. And it was a good learning experience because that's where I think it's really important, like just how you said it, it's important, like you got to provide your value at the end of the day, especially like if you're on a tour, like you're there to provide a value, and then any other friendship and experience after that is like a benefit and a plus, you know? And I like to work with people that we're friendly and like we have a good relationship in that way. But like personally for me, I think from my own experiences, like if I don't feel like I'm providing my value, I get scared. Like I get scared, like what am I doing here if I'm not doing like the photos that these people maybe hired me for in the first place, like doing it quickly enough, you know?
Yeah, I always aim to over deliver. That's like, that's always my goal. And then my dad also always says this quote, I've said it on the podcast before, but it's like, most people work with people because they like them. You know what I mean? It's like, you need to be good at what you do, but like, you know, you're probably better at like, especially on tour, dude. If you can hang, like that's like, the hang is almost more important than like having good work.
I think so. It's interesting because like some of the biggest artists that like I've wanted to work with, I've like looked at like, sometimes like the video person that's working with one of your favorite artists didn't get hired because like they're the best photo or videographer ever, but they had a really cool experience like meeting that artist one time, and then that person liked them enough to be like,
the
all
vibe
right,
is important. People underestimate the hang. Like, because dude, you like, if you can't be chill and just like, you know what I mean? Like an artist or anybody for that matter is like, yo, like what's good? You know, I have a story where I like recommended a photographer once for a tour, and unfortunately he couldn't hang. I got my head cut off and recommended him. But with that being said, like, you know, I learned a valuable lesson from that, and you know, my artist homies that I recommended like have forgiven me at this point. But yeah, no, I learned from that, like, because he was a great photographer. Like the work that he did was incredible. Some people aren't meant for the road, though. Yeah, it's a different experience.
I feel like you'll learn that like through the process too, if you're meant for it or not, because it's like,
oh, you go out on one tour, you'll figure it out real quick.
Yeah. But that's why I think it is important to like really understand like the distance you can have with people if you're just working, like if you get to that point where you don't provide or the value to the extent that you should be, like you're falling out of place, and it's like, oh, you might be really good friends with these people, but like if you're not providing the value you are, like what are you really doing there? I think like when it comes to tours, whoever is the artist or the main person, it's really dependent on who they are as a person too, because like some people don't care about their content as much, and that's why they want someone that can hang better. Some people are more focused on having good content, and they don't want to have a super friendly relationship with you. They want you to go there and work, and then you guys do your thing at the end of the day, you know? Like, I've experienced different people that do it different ways.
And I feel like as long as you know what like the expectations are too, you know what I mean? Like I've definitely had things where it's like, okay, I'm just here to work, you know what I mean? And that's also okay too, you know what I mean? But I want to get to some of your other stories too, because one, I know you talked about Wayne, so I want to talk about like shooting with Wayne, and I want to talk to you about Pop Smoke too, because I know you were able to shoot for Pop. So let's talk about Wayne first, and then let's get into Pop.
Okay. So I like that was honestly one of my favorite jobs, like things that I've done in this photography stuff ever, because
photos are incredible, dude.
Thank you.
I remember when I like pulled up your page, I was like, oh, whoa.
I appreciate it, man. It's taken some time to learn to get to that point, and it's like I'm appreciative for the journey. So like to start it off, like I was like 8 years old, lived in South Carolina, right? And I had a little MP3 player, because I was 8 in like 2008. So like it was the little thin MP3 player, if you remember what it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It was like, was it iPod adjacent?
It wasn't. It was around the time that iPods were becoming popular, but it wasn't an iPod. It was like,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's oh man, that's gonna Zoom.
It might have been. I think so. I
don't even remember if that's it, but that's like what's coming to mind, dude.
And well, so like when I was
everything on LimeWire.
Yeah, that's what I was doing back then, especially with Wayne songs. And so like I've just always loved hip hop and rap, like. And my mom didn't like that. She like would delete songs off my MP3 player because it was like explicit, you know, and there was bad words in it. And I notoriously, when I was like 8, 9, got in trouble for listening to Lil Wayne. Like that's how much of he's been a part. And he's an awesome artist, because who has lasted as long as he has?
I'm a huge Wayne fan.
Like you got to give him the most respect, because it's like the rap game is starting to be very like, you have your hit song, you're popular for a year to 2 years. He's been around since like he was a kid.
Output incredible too, dude. I can't name another artist that was releasing at the volume he was.
Yep. And so, I got to, the first time I ever took photos of him was at Total Bridgeport Arena in Bridgeport. And I was working with an artist and also the radio station, 93.7. Okay. Shout out to Michi.
Michi, dude. Yep. Michi put me on his list the other day, dude.
I saw that. Yeah.
I think
super sick, man.
I think a lot of people. Thank you, dude. I think a lot of people were happy for me. I think a lot of people were upset by the list, but it's okay, dude.
I think that's the point of list at this point. They want to make some people upset and some people happy. You know? Yeah. Create conversation. That's what I think like lists are for at this point.
And I'm grateful that I don't mean to like detour it, but I'm grateful to be a part of the list.
Yeah.
But the comments had me rolling, dude.
Yeah, it's like in general, like it's a time for people to chime in and give their opinion, which is like what gives it like it trajects it to do well on socials and stuff like that, you know. So, but I've watched like Michi's list through the past like few years, and it's interesting to see like, you know, it always creates a conversation in Connecticut, and the Connecticut music scene is just an interesting one to say it simply.
Yeah, and we should talk about that after. We should go Wayne, Pop, Connecticut music scene.
But yeah, so like working with Wayne, so the first time Shout out to Kev Combs. He's a videographer from Bridgeport that I've known for a super long time, right? I'm shooting in the pit for Wayne, and they kick us out of the pit, like right when Wayne's...
First 3 songs kind of thing?
Not even. They just kicked us out of the pit completely. I had shot all the other artists, and then Wayne came on, and they were like, all right, everyone's out of the pit. But it was weird because like we huddled at the entrance to the pit on both sides. There were so many people on both sides of the entrance to the pit, but the pit was empty. And
it's funny because that's not an impenetrable force too. Like you can wiggle your way back into the pit. Dude.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I'll tell you a story after this, but like for those who don't know, like sometimes when bigger artists come like on stage, they just clear everybody from stage, the pit, just like they basically try to launch you back into the crowd.
Yep. And that was an interesting one too, specifically because they were on point with not letting people into the pit. And so I was really hyped at that point, but a little disappointed because I'm like, I only had like an 18 to 105 lens on a A7 III.
Yeah.
And so like being far wasn't gonna come out with amazing photos. So I'm taking my pictures from like the corner of the pit, and then Kev Combs is also shooting that show. And he comes up to me. There's a DJ Scooby, is a DJ who's worked with Wayne for a while. He saw Kev shooting a reel and went up to Kev and was like, yo, we need people to shoot for Wayne right now. Like, can you and get a couple other people to come with you and come on stage and take some photos for Wayne? And so Kev came up to me like on the side of the pit, struggling to get photos. He's like, yo, like I got this opportunity, come with me. And me and another photographer and Kev all worked with Wayne's team that like on the spot, they pulled us on a stage and they had us. It was so cool because there was like a few different spots to be on stage and in the pit. And like we like alternated to all the different spots, all of us. And I took some really sick pictures of him on stage. I got to meet all of Wayne's artists, which was really cool.
That's dope. Who do you have with them?
So he had a bunch of people. Gouda, he had this artist named Damio, which super appreciate to Damio. He's a really dope like young artist that works with Wayne that I got to work with more after this. And then he had, who else did he have? Gouda, Damio.
That's another
Jay,
thing too about
Jay.
Just these shows too. I'll chime in real quick. Is like if you're the headliner on the tour, try to shoot for the openers too. If like if the headliner will do it, because I've seen plenty of times where those openers end up becoming the headliners later on. And
I took good pictures. They told me to take pictures of the team. Like Scooby, the DJ, told me to get pictures of the team, and it was crazy because like they were in the darkest part of the stage, and like with an A7 III, like it came out grainy, and I had to make some really grainy photos look really good. But I took pictures of his team, and that's what got me into the next show with Wayne at Mohegan, which I'll get into in a second. But yeah, so took some really good pictures at that show because I was able to get on stage with him and take some pictures from like showing the whole vastness of the arena. And it was crazy because we delivered our photos to Wayne through Scooby like that night. And so supposedly like Wayne was getting me and 2 other people's photos like from the show, but I posted my pictures really quickly. And it was cool because I was doing GIFs and photos, and I did this set that I was super proud of, some of my favorite photos I've taken, like some photos, and then it was GIFs with different songs on each GIF. At this point, you couldn't create a song as your post yet. Yeah. And like when I delivered the GIFs to Wayne, I didn't put songs on the GIFs. So like Wayne like saw my post and took my photos from my page and posted it on his page and tagged me in it. And like I remember like seeing that, and I knew he took them from my page because the GIFs had the songs that I put on the post only.
What you're saying, yeah.
And like I do remember seeing that and being like, yo, like pinnacle moment for me because like
Wayne was on your page, dude.
Yeah, and he saw it and was able to post it, and I'm just like, wow, like so cool. So that was like the first experience I got, and then I took some really good pictures for an artist, Damio, there, and Damio's like he's awesome at freestyling. Like you see him, and I remember when he first performed there, like Wayne brought him out and he just freestyled for about a minute with no beat, and like it blew everyone away. And so he specifically, I took pictures of him and I hit him up to give him his pictures after the show, and they came back to Mohegan maybe like, this is probably like a year later, maybe a little less. And so I tapped in with Damio and his manager Waf, and they got me into this Mohegan show to take pictures of them. And it was really, really cool because Kev got some really good pictures once again at Mohegan too, which is like kind of hard to get into in my opinion. And I've always lived really close to Mohegan and barely ever take pictures there. But I got to work with their team there and had some cool access. And after that show, like I was just, I met Euro there too. Like we were by like the little waterfall in Mohegan after like talking and stuff. And I met a few people from Wayne's team. And then I met his video guy, Philly, really, really dope kid. So when I met him, like we just like met and talked a little bit, got cool with each other. And that's what got me into doing the Madison Square Garden show. Like I worked with him directly to do the after movie and then the photos for when he released the Carter 6 at Madison Square Garden.
Insane opportunity, dude.
That's like, it was cool to work with Drake and I love Drake, but like Wayne is just, for me personally, like that was really pinnacle for me.
Yeah, he was
like,
your guy, dude.
Mm-hmm. And like his music in concert is freaking awesome. Like you know every word to so many of his songs to where like the experience just seeing him perform is like something that's cool and appreciative.
And when artists like Drake and Wayne perform, it really opens up to like, wow, these guys have so many hits.
You forget until you see it and hear it in person and you're like, you might forget the song, but you know every word when you start to hear it in the concert.
It's crazy. Yeah, I had an experience like that recently. This is dumb and I shouldn't even talk about it right now because ADD. But there was like a SpongeBob Christmas song that like just played during the holiday season and I knew every word to it. I was like, yo, I was like, I'm too old to be singing and knowing every single word. But it's like, you know, sometimes these lyrics just get ingrained in your head. Back to Lil Wayne and Madison Square Garden.
Yo, shout out to SpongeBob though. That was my favorite show when I was a kid, man. I watched every episode of that and I remember them.
Me too, dude.
But yeah, so like honestly, the Madison Square Garden show was really dope because like it was interesting. And I remember seeing this at the time. Like a lot of people were on like social media talking about like, oh, Wayne's not a good performer and stuff like that. Cause
I've seen that too, dude.
They were saying it a lot because of that show specifically. And it's like social media just gives a lot of people a room to like say their opinion and then people will run with it before.
Well, I could talk about this for, I'm not going to because I'm not going to interrupt you again. But like I could talk about that forever.
It's a whole conversation within itself. But like being at that show, that was like one of the dopest performances I've ever been to. And if anyone hasn't seen Wayne perform, like I recommend it to anyone who loves like hip hop and rap music because hearing his music like in person is just like one of the coolest experiences because like he had a lot of hits when I was younger, like I'm 26. So like in the 2010s and like 2000s in general, like some of his songs back then don't get played as much now. And to hear those songs in concert just like feel awesome, like to sing along to. But yeah, so like that was really cool. And I worked with his team and delivered photos for that show and like all the big publications like posted a few photos that I took from there. And like that was a really cool experience because like you can take really good pictures of a concert and you know, they might do well on your social media or if the artist posts, that's really cool too. But like when the big publications like pick up your photos and they photo,
gas, dude.
They like tag you in articles and stuff like that. That feels like a good validation for it. You know?
Dude, that's like next level. You know what I mean? It kind of helps like immortalize the photos a little bit more. You know, because you know the goal like. If you're a photographer and you're getting posted by these publications, there's a chance that someone types in Lil Wayne and goes to images and it's yours.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And so, like, I did experience this a lot with Bia. Like being able to like kind of look up her and then see a lot of my photos and see that like my name will come up on some of them because they like say photo by Gabe Garza. But I remember specifically doing it after that Wayne show and they were all posting and like Googling him and then seeing how many of my photos were coming up because of that show and like that was like a really cool experience. It just validates like the work you do, you know, like knowing that like that's a lot of people seeing your name and your photo out there and like your photo got picked out of like, there were some really dope photographers who took pictures of that show and like, it was the fact that I got them in really fast that helped get them posted.
Yeah, and those moments just help with confidence overall too, you know, and it's like, and it just helps like, cause you know, I think when you're starting out into like anything really, but like, let's say photography, like, you know, you kind of have to like prove yourself, like, yo, but then it's like, you know, if someone goes to your page and they see a photo of Wayne, it's like, you don't have to plead your case as much. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like Gabe shoots for Wayne. He's definitely a good photographer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting because it's, another thing about that whole topic in general is that like, when we talked earlier about like, you know, times that make you want to quit and stuff like that, like, I think like patience and then confidence together is really important in doing this because like a lot of the things that I've done, it took time. It took time, and like I had to put my hours in to like spend doing either free work or just like learning to do stuff. And some of the coolest things I didn't come until like 4 or 5 years, 6 years after starting photography, you know, in some way. So like, it's like, I felt really antsy to do really cool things when I first started in the artist side of things. And then I got a little more confident in my craft, and then patience came along with it.
Patience is so important, dude. Saying that, it's like, bro, I kick myself a little bit because, you know, this year I had my biggest year yet, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of homies I came up with that got impatient and quit right before things got good. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, dude, no, bro.
Yeah, like, don't do it.
Yeah, the train left the station, dude, and you decided to get off. Like, so it's that gets me, you know what I mean? But patience is so important, dude, and just trusting the process.
Because that's the thing is, like, I think it's like this in my mind, heavy. I think, you know, say you quit at one point, right? You could truthfully be on the verge of something huge the next month or year of that career path, you know? And that's like, it is very hard to see and feel that at times when it feels down.
Yeah, especially if it just feels like it's been down and down and down and down. But
that's how it works sometimes, is that like, you know, you go through some shittiness and some hard times to prepare yourself mentally. I think a lot of that makes you really appreciative. So like when we talked earlier about like getting too comfortable in situations, those hard times, going through situations like that, like make you more appreciative for when you do have it and it's working out well, and then you make your decisions in a smarter way to do it correctly, you know?
Yeah, learning from your mistakes is the best. Like, you know, obviously you don't want to make that many mistakes, but learning from your mistakes is the best way to learn, in my opinion.
Definitely. You learn quicker. You fail fast. There's a thing in tech, in like the tech side of things, where like fail fast. I think that's what they say.
Bro, I posted a whole video about that like 2 weeks ago about failing fast. Like, bro, you just rip off the Band-Aid because people get analysis paralysis. They're like, you know, they just won't get started. And it's like, yo, it's going to be bad. You're going to screw up. It's going to look terrible. Yeah. But you just got to get through that phase. You got to get through those growing pains in order to get better. So
it's the best way to learn. It's the best way to learn. And it's like, you know, don't care about what everyone thinks and feels about things as much too. That helps, because it's like the analysis paralysis side of things. Like,
nobody cares as much as you think they do.
Yeah, we are our worst critic at the end of the day. So like what we think, how other people will see things, or like what people won't like about things, more likely than not, like we're the only one that's probably going to think about it like that.
Yeah, it's the truth, dude. And I think that's just for any creative in general, you know? I want to keep it going though. I want to talk about this Pop Smoke story. That
was really cool. And I think one of the things I'm most appreciative for, and like a lot of it because of, so that was at Toad's. That was a Toad show. I was working with an artist that got me into that show. And if you've been to Toad's plenty.
Of course, dude, yeah.
I got to say what's up to him in that downstairs room. And, you know, rest in peace to Pop Smoke, because I think if you like hip hop and rap music, you understand who Pop was and like the footprint he had when he was around. And so like when he came to CT, he had a really dope show in the first place. Like, we're really close to New York, being in Connecticut, so his imprint was heavy in Connecticut. And like I remember when I first was going to clubs in Connecticut and taking just club photos and videos and stuff, like that's when Pop Smoke's music, like Welcome to the Party, like had its moment in Connecticut clubs, to where like that was the most lit song they could play that night, and it would just create the best energy at a club, right? And so yeah, seeing and meeting him at the Toad show was really, really cool, because rest in peace to him. His birthday is like 2 days before mine.
Oh,
so
wow.
One thing that like rap is like unfortunate, and rest in peace to all the people that have been lost in rap and hip hop, because it's kind of weird to see like an artist that's like 2 days younger than you or older than you, like pass away the way that he did. And that really like saddened me too, because like when you look at like drill music in New York, like Pop Smoke was that dude. Like he really like made drill music, like in my opinion, what I liked about drill music was like when Pop Smoke was popular. So I took some really good pictures of him, you know, and those are like pictures I like to get back to every like couple of years and just like re-edit some and like post them in some way, because like rest in peace, he was so young to lose him. And like that's a experience that I'm just glad that I had and was able to meet him, because like, you know,
yeah, it's
not able to get that chance anymore,
it's crazy, dude. Yeah, no, like it's one thing that's like tough about even just life, not even just the music industry. It's just like you just never know, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
my experience with that, thankfully I've never really like experience. I mean, I'm sure everybody can relate to this generational loss, dude. But Mac Miller was the toughest one for me, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, as just a fan, you know what I mean? Because he was like somebody I looked to like growing up. Like I loved like him and like Tree J and Rex Arrow, like the way that they would work together. That was like a big inspiration for me starting.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, it was a far drive, but one of my friends was like, Mac Miller's playing at our school.
Okay.
You should come and go see him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man. And at the time, obviously, you know, they wouldn't have known what was going to happen there. But yeah, no, I took the trip, saw Mac, and it was like, I'm so happy I did. You know, but then, you know, I think it was just like not even a year went by, and then, you know, he had passed away. So it's tough, dude. And especially like these, you know, these larger than life, you know, cultural influences, dude. You look at it's tough, dude. And like, and it sucks though too, because obviously it's not exclusive to hip hop, but like, you know, you find that it happens in hip hop way more often than any other genre.
Yeah. I think rest in peace to Mac Miller. Another big one that like affected me was Juice WRLD too. I think dude. Specifically with both of those two people, and like I always looked at Mac Miller and Juice like this would be like an awesome person just to hang out with, right? Like obviously I'd love to take pictures of them, but they just seem like people that are like really like good-hearted and like would be a cool person just to be around, you know? And I think that's like one thing about Mac that was like hard about it, because it's just like he just seemed like a good soul, like through everything that ever showed on social media and stuff. So, but yeah, hip hop and rap kind of has like pushed unhealthy lifestyles, you know, for a while. And that's like, I think, how old are you?
I'm 30.
30. So like you definitely understand and experience, like me being 26, like we had like 3 years where like we lost a lot of people that were really popular in hip hop and rap. And like, I think it's starting to change a little bit now, but like, does kind of promote an unhealthy certain pockets within hip hop and rap.
Dude, I listen to some of those Juice WRLD songs now in hindsight, and I'm like, oh my god, like, what's the Wishing Well song? To me, it just like I listen to that song and I'm like, yo, this is like the biggest red flag of a song. That
he was
like,
sad, man. He was sad. You could tell.
You know, so it's tough, dude. It really is tough, and you know, it like we also lost X. I remember like it was just like it was so fast, like really, like it was kind of like between like 2017 and 2019, there was like a big loss in like just the hip hop community, and you know, a lot of people say too, because hip hop as a genre has gone down over the years as far as like the way it's performing, and a lot of people attribute that to the loss of these artists, because you know the Juice WRLDs and the XXXs, like in the eyes of many, were like going to fill like those like Lil Wayne spots. You know what I mean? They were like the next big iconic, and they are iconic, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Juice WRLD was freaking talented, man. Like he freestyled for like how long? You remember that?
Oh yeah, just
I think it was like an hour long or something like that.
And the thing is, I think artists like that, like, in what breaks my heart, is I feel like a lot of these artists like didn't get to their like peak. You know what I mean? Like they were like on the up and up, and like just, you know what I mean? Like they had such a superstar trajectory that like, you know, it's unfortunate that we didn't get to see that.
I think it dampened down like a lot of people's like attitude and feelings towards like that genre in general, because it was like you like a certain amount of artists, and if you see a few of them like pass like while you like them a lot, it just kind of like it dampens your opinion on like that genre, I think, in general, because it's like I don't know. Rest in peace to Juice, rest in peace to Mac. Like
X,
they would have been awesome to like still be seeing perform today, and like the music they would be releasing, you know. Yeah,
I'm gonna switch it up to I guess a little bit more positive of a topic.
Yeah.
Like,
let's not stay too negative.
No, I feel rest in peace, but you know, I wanted to kind of bring this to the end zone, talking about like Connecticut's music scene, you know, because we had a little bit of a conversation about it prior to even starting the podcast, and I think the one thing that we agreed on is that being from Connecticut puts a chip on your shoulder. Yeah,
definitely. It's an interesting state, because I said this earlier too, but it's like we're nestled between New York and Boston, two really big cities. And like, it's cool because, you know, especially in the entertainment field, you can go to concerts out here and try to work with those things, and like, but there's not like a lot of like really massive work that pays well in Connecticut. It's harder to find, you know, but we can drive to New York and we can drive to Boston, and it's like, you got to put in extra effort to really make the big power moves like in these careers, being from Connecticut. And it's like, it's one thing if you grew up in New York and did this stuff in New York. I think that like gives you I don't want to say an advantage, but like in the extent of it might be a little easier, like on a path to like.
There's just more opportunity out there. It's just like it's a numbers thing. You know what I mean? Like New York just simply has way more people, way more opportunity. You know, same with Boston. You know, where it's like. But the thing though that I really like about like the Connecticut music scene and just entertainment, like at least I feel like this shift has happened more recently, but it feels like everybody's kind of supporting everybody. I don't feel like it was always like that, but like more recently I feel like everyone's just like come together and wants to see each other win. And maybe that's just me getting older and like seeing it, maybe looking at it positive, but at least that's how I feel now. No,
I definitely think that is there. I think in general, like, there's always going to be people that try to have like their opinion that's like not a good opinion about it, but like the people that are really like looking to grow themselves the right way look to support other people in general. And that's where I think like once you give out that energy yourself, you start to attract and like even make it infectious to other people. Like I think it's so cool that you get to show people that it's like it's cool to support other people from the state too, because like there's competitiveness that people have, and there's like people that don't want to rep, they're from Connecticut, you know, and it's like...
a lot of people will just kind of like put themselves in the New York category. I see that all the time. But, you know, to backtrack on what I just said, you know, I think people want to see each other win. But then DJ Michi did drop this list of his top 10. And, you know, we had some gremlins coming out against that list, you know. So I guess the haters are still out there, living large.
on their Instagram commenting.
Yeah, it's crazy though too, but it's like, you know, and this is how I felt because, you know, I've seen DJ Michi's list for years, grateful to be a part of this one, but anytime I see him drop a list, I'm tapping in immediately. I'm like, what are these people doing that, you know, he's somebody I respect so highly, you know what I mean? So if Michi's saying they're the people to look to, I'm immediately tapping in, dude. So, and even with this list this year, you know, there's a couple people that were on the list that I didn't know who they were, and I tapped in. I'm like, yo, these people are dope. And the way that I look at the list, it's either people that like either had like a big year where something happened or they're bringing something to the culture that like a fresh kind of something that like just kind of a fresh feeling. You know what I mean? So,
Michi's one of those people that like. I just trust his opinion in music heavily enough to like want to tap in with whoever he puts out there, you know, because he plays a cool role in Connecticut, like working with the radio station, and like I've always looked at him as like one of like the musical heads of CT, and so his list is always something that's, you know, everyone waits for that. That's something that like always creates a conversation. So dope that you were on it too. Like
no, I'm grateful, but it's funny too, like you know, I look at Michi's list and stuff because Michi's looked out for me for years, dude. You know what I mean? He's always, and I've always like wanted, like because I've been on the other side of it too, where it's like, dang, I want to, and it's like the list, like in the grand scheme of things, you know, they don't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't make a difference. Like, am I honored to be there? Yes. You know what I mean? Because I love Michi and I respect him and I'm grateful, but like at the same time, it's like. I haven't been on that list the entire time, and I'm still been grinding. You know what I mean? So
if you're not on it, use that as a reason to grind a little harder to get on it.
That's that's literally what my homie Jet said. Like he's viewing it as like motivation too, and like you should because that's something I've looked at because you know I don't see myself like at least from music I don't see myself as like honestly with everything I do I don't see myself as like the greatest. Whatever, dude, but I show up every time, so that's like the big difference. I feel like with me, like I'm always there. So. But yeah, dude, to pull this to the end zone, you know, I want to talk to you about, you know, some advice that you'd have for. I got 2 more questions. I want to talk to you about advice that you'd have for an upcoming photographer. Okay. I feel like we were dropping gems this entire podcast. If you didn't pick up something during this podcast, you know, just rewatch it. And then I'll ask you another question after that.
Okay. So actually, great time to bring this into it because I thought about this on the car ride over here. I thought this would be something that you would appreciate because this is like something I saw on some post, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, and it really stuck with me because I think this is something that like, think about luck, right? A lot of people might look at some people and what they've accomplished and be like, oh, they've just been lucky, right? But I think there's a really cool way to think about luck that I saw in this post, and I think you'll appreciate it. And I think this is, anyone who's in this field should kind of look at this and use this to their benefit and advantage. But basically there's 4 levels of luck, right? The first level of luck is just environmental luck, which the family you were born into, where you live, that kind of stuff. It's the uncontrollable side of luck. Everyone has some amount of luck or, from that. And then the second level is hustler's luck. So that's like using the power of probability to your advantage. You send out 100 DMs and one person responds. And then that's like a really cool thing that you were able to do because of that one DM, right? Like when you are consistent enough, like that will allow luck to come to you because if you just keep trying and doing things, there's a few times where it's going to stick and work. And then, that's like a situation that like someone might see as like, oh, he got really lucky with that one situation. But in reality, you might have sent 100 DMs and that was the one person that responded to 99 no responses, And then the third level of luck is getting better at spotting luck. So like spotting opportunity. And this is like a progression, I think, in this type of work that you get once you learn more. I think I'm at this third level, I think. But yeah, so like the third is, seeking out luck. So you get better at understanding like what situation is going to give you what you need at the end of the day and like what to do, who to talk to. Like, I think knowing to take good pictures of the crew or like, that's the kind of thing where you're understanding where to get luck from. You're seeking it out rather than like just throwing out shots. And then the fourth level is the last level in the extent of like, you've become so good at your craft that luck finds you. So like someone might have like this biggest opportunity that they need someone to capture and they come to you for it because you're really good and you've made your name in it, right?
I love this, dude. I got goosebumps from this. This is so cool, dude. It's a great way of thinking about things.
I think like when I first like read that and like understood that, I'm like, wow. Cause I mean, there's obviously that some people might look at things like, oh, you're lucky. I've had some people say like, oh, you're lucky, but I never like took that as a bad thing. But I think like starting to think about it like that just kind of like gives you a way to like really understand how you can progress in the extent of like opportunity.
I may print this out and put this in the studio somewhere. The levels of luck, dude. It's a really cool way. And as you're saying the things, I'm like thinking of opportunities where it's like, I wasn't thinking of it like that, but I can apply situations to it, So no, that's some of the best advice that I think has been dropped on the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. I think like it's a natural, when you're in this line of work, it's a natural progression that like when it's not said like that, you don't think about it like that, but then like you start to realize, because it's like when you think about the third level of it where you start getting good at seeking out luck, that's like your intelligence doing something long enough to understand like, all right, it makes sense for me to spend my time here instead of here. And I know you've probably dealt with this, but like you could get double booked on a day. Which do you pick? They both have different benefits and, you might have your reasons to want to do this and this. And it takes time to like get good at understanding like, how to do things and what you should do. And like, that always just changed my perspective on like how to look at how to do things and just the word luck in general. It's great, dude. That like is great. Like I'm excited to watch this podcast back. Say that, dude. That is most definitely going to be a clip. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think for other advice to like photographers, I've said this in a few other things. Excuse me. I've said this in a few other things, so I don't want to like repeat this, but I do think it's important to repeat at the same time. And we said it already to an extent, but like having confidence in yourself, I think is like essential to growing in this field because it will be discouraging. Mm-hmm. Like it definitely will be. If you choose to do any entrepreneurial work, creative work, just the way that it is nowadays, you're gonna approach things that discourage you from doing this as work. There's a certain level of delusion you need, dude, in my eyes. Like sometimes I look at some of the things, I was like, what the hell was I thinking? It worked out, but I was like, yo, I'm crazy for thinking that, dude.
I think in general, like that level of delusion is essential if you want to be very successful, because like it's not going to work if you don't believe it's going to work delusionally. Like you need to, if it doesn't work doing it this way, you got to find another way to do it. And then, find, like, it has to happen. If it doesn't work this way, I'm going to find another way to do it. Like that has to be your mentality for doing a lot of this stuff.
And I think keeping people around you that can support your delusion to an extent, you know what I mean? Because sometimes I talk about some of my big ideas to some of my friends, and that's a mistake sometimes. Like,
it is.
You know, don't always tell your friends all your ideas. Sometimes you just got to do it, because they might even discourage you too, and not even like out of like a place of like malice, but a place because they just don't believe it for themselves. You know what I mean? But yeah, sometimes I'll be dropping my crazy ideas, and I could feel like they might not say it, but I could feel the hesitation. Like, and I'm like, yo, like, no, I'm gonna make this happen. Like, I believe that's gonna happen. You know, so yeah, just be careful who you tell things to, but like also don't take it personally. If just because you believe in your crazy idea doesn't mean everyone else has to, but that doesn't mean it won't work out. I think because it's like, you know, you look at what other people's jobs are and like what their goals are at life, and take that for what that is, because if they don't have the same goals as you, or like see like what's possible in the same way that we see, we watch enough people to know that like what's possible, like you can, don't limit yourself by thinking something's not possible, because there's almost anything that's possible at this point, you know, some way, getting there some way, you know. And it's important to know, like, I think it's good that you mentioned that, because just be careful who you say things to, or at least be able to not take what they say in response to you and your dreams. Learn to not take that for face value, and like that's what it is, you know, at the end of the day. Yeah, and it's a balance too, because sometimes, and also like be able to take criticisms. You know what I mean? Like not every idea that I've thrown out there has been a home run, and like sometimes people will lend perspective that like, oh, you know, maybe they are, like, you don't want to get discouraged, but like you don't want to also just completely rule out what they're saying too. You know, just think about it and just weigh it out. You know what I mean? The last thing I'm going to ask you, Gabe, is what's your message to the world? If you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
I think probably the most important thing I could say that I'd want to stick with me is that just spread positivity in every way you can. Life is going to be negative and discouraging, whether it's in this field of work or a different. It's going to be there regardless. If you can make someone else's day better, if you can inspire someone to do something really freaking cool, like push people to do the best that they can. And I think that's like obviously in our line of work really important, but just overall in the world, you know, life is stressful, life gets hard, especially as you get older, life becomes stressful and harder than it was before. And I just try to bring positivity to people, and if someone, I like to help people believe that they can do things that they might not believe that they can do yet. I think that's important in general, because life sets you up to like limit your belief, you know, in what you can do.
And sometimes you can see in other people what they don't see in themselves.
And I've experienced like achieving things that I didn't think I could achieve, and I understand what it's like to be in that place before where you're like, I could never do something like this, right? And I just would love everyone to believe that like they are fully capable of doing whatever they want to do. It's going to take work, it's going to take consistency, and it's going to take some no's and some fails, but it's doable.
It's funny that you say this. I have a friend too that like, he's kind of like he's going through the growing pains of being an artist right now. And I'm like, yo, you're good. And he'll overthink it and go through it. And like, sometimes I feel like me just saying you're good, like, is not the best thing to say to him, because he's like just going there. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, like, I've seen other versions of you exactly where you're at right now, dude. And every single one of them, you know, came through the other side and made it. So it's like, dude, you're good, you know? But, you know, sometimes just telling somebody that they're good, it's not exactly what they need to hear at every moment, you know?
They might appreciate that when they get out of that little bit of that mental space, you know, but it is like, you can see it as like you're good because of your outside perspective of them. And then it's like, it's true. But there's a way to go about it. So it's hard sometimes, you know? Yeah.
Well, Gabe, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. If people want to find you and connect with you, how can they?
Gabe Garza _ is the Instagram. It's probably just about it. That's probably where everyone will go.
Yeah, incredible photographer at minimum. You guys need to go check out his photos right now. If you got a fire gig for Gabe, only fire gigs, book Gabe.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, dude, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Dude, I want to appreciate you big time. It's really cool what you've done, everything you've accomplished. So like, this podcast is really cool. I've watched a few episodes and watched some cool people say some really cool things that stuck with me. And just in general, what you've accomplished. Like, I remember watching your music videos like 8-ish years ago.
Crazy, probably a long time ago, dude.
6 to 8 years ago, I think, around that time is when I first got tapped into you. And like, you've just done a lot of cool things since then and accomplished things. And like, as someone from CT, seeing you do it in CT, good job. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, dude. I'm glad that you're here today. I'm glad to call you a friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see what's next for you, dude.
For sure.
Because I know it's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A lot of work to come.
Awesome.